Welcome to Real Talk.
Go
The
ahead,
sun
keep
is
going
great.
on. Go
Thank you.
ahead, keep talking, everybody. This is
Thank,
Real Talk
thank
Chronicles.
you.
Thank you. We are happy to be here on this Monday. This is the first Monday of the month, and this is Real Talk with Assemblyman Al Taylor, which is always a pleasure. Just to give you a little rundown, next Monday, we have a Real Talk with Dr. Marilyn Corder. We have so much to talk about the Delta variant, just the COVID, and so many different other things that are happening in this world, health health wise. The beautiful thing about having doctor on it, we're going to talk about things like diabetes. There's so many different things we're going to talk about. Yeah, right now the hot topic is COVID and the Delta, and also this new thing that's happening. Please, if you're vaccinated, you still can catch the virus. You can catch Delta, so try to protect yourself. For those that don't want to get vaccinated, I'm not here to preach to you. I'm just telling you that you wear your mask and do what you have to do to protect yourself. With that being said, also, we always have on Wednesdays, we have a real talk with retired Sergeant Kevin Branzetti and retired Lieutenant Chuck Richards, and we talk about police issues that are in the city all over the world. And the fourth Monday of the month, we have Pastor Kevin Graves, and we talk a spiritual walk and how we become better people and just how that affects our lives. With that being said, and all that, you know how to share Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to it. If you're on Facebook, just share the button. With that being said, let me introduce my co-host, and we have a special guest with us tonight. But I'll introduce my co-host first. Al, how are you?
Hey, I am great. For all of you guys that are on radio and on the telephone and you can't see us, hi, good afternoon, good evening. I am Al Braggs. No, I'm teasing. That's not me. I am well. I'm excited. Alvin, thank you so much for joining us. We are glad you're here, and I know you've had a robust day. Um, and literally, you ever see the Jetsons or the intro when they come in, or if you look at what's that other group, the Simpsons? You know, it kind of opens up and everybody's rushing to get in front of the TV. Literally,
Mhm.
man, I was rushing to get here at the table and get in front of my device. My intern, thank God, he's better. He was hit by a car this afternoon. He went out from lunch from my
Oh,
office and he did the thing that we ought not do, which was jaywalk. He saw one car, he beat that car, got another one. So they're keeping him overnight
mm.
for observation over at Harlem Hospital. So our prayers and thoughts are with him. He's in great shape. His mother's a doctor, his father's a doctor. So, you know, they came in and looked and they are comfortable and they've gone home themselves. They just want to keep him overnight. So
Mm.
we're glad to be here the first Monday of every month. Here I am, Real Talk with my mentor and my friend. And he's got that invisible cane that says, hey, Al. No. So if you're not familiar with this, there's no script. It comes off the top. We respond to what you're saying. So get involved, get in the process, and be a part of the process. But I'm so happy to say we are happy that you're here, Alvin. You were here a couple of months ago, and people didn't know who you were and what you could do and how I can't say how bad but you are. So I mean, you beat a woman with billions of dollars and they threw a couple of millions at you and people went through all of that and said, we want a man of integrity, a man that can do the work that happens to be black, but a man of integrity that could do the work, and it came out to be you. So we're so excited to hear you made history. Folks, the next Manhattan District Attorney, Mr. Albert Braggs himself.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you, gentlemen. We made history, right? I mean, y'all
Yeah.
know, in particular, both of y'all. Um, it takes a village, and the
Absolutely.
village was out, and y'all were helping to bring the village together and connect it. Bill's spreading the word through his network, through this show. The assemblyman and I mean, we were out, Esplanade, bunch of times, encouraging folks to come out and vote. So we did it as a community, and as I look at y'all are both folks who have served, and I look forward to returning to serve. And Assemblyman, I hope your staffer is okay. As you know, I spent a good part of the day in the hospital, a scheduled procedure for a family member who's
Okay.
also doing all right. But it does focus you, right?
Yeah.
I know the health. Let's listen to Techno Foster give the schedule. I know the health talk is coming. I know the spiritual talk is coming.
Yeah.
For me, when I hear you talk about your staffer and the way I spent my day, I just think about the primacy. We're out, working for a better community. But tomorrow's promised to no one, and we got to really live in the moment, and take care of each other and count our blessings. So I feel blessed to be here with y'all to talk about these issues. And I'll leave it there because I'll leave the spiritual talk to. It sounds like next Monday clergy will be on. So,
but the beautiful thing about that is we have a reverend here too. So
this is true. This is true.
Hey, and we got a Sunday school teacher here too.
Hey, and that's what it is. I mean, well, like I said, full transparency. If Hope Alvin doesn't mind, we are church members together in Christ, and that's how we met. We've sat on a dais together and talked about issues pertaining to our community to help to make the world a better place. That's how I met him and his lovely wife, and our friendship has grown since then. And I was so glad when I found out he was running, and I texted him sidebar, and told him, I said, I got you. What can you do? What you need me to do? Come back on. We want you to get this endorsement, and we're so glad that you're going to be the first Black, district attorney in New York's history, and hopefully we'll have a second Black mayor coming along. I know you two have been working together, showing up at appearances. I mean, let me just correct myself. And first and foremost, Alvin, what's next? What do you want to do when we get you in office? Because you're going to get in office, barring anybody trying any other trickery and buffoonery. When we get you in office, what's going to be your first 100 days? Or what do you think you want to try to do?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to do is continue to sort of be in dialogue with community, right? We've seen this from the Assembly member, really his calling card, right? It's sort of serving, but amongst us. So DA's office is downtown, but there's an office on 125th Street in the Adam Clayton Powell State Office Building. There's one in Washington Heights. We want to expand those footprints and really have it be that people aren't just thinking about the DA's office when it's, when they got a case, but to really be on the front end with youth enrichment and prevention. So broadly, that's what I want to be doing. I think the most urgent issue, and I know this is something y'all both been on the forefront on, is guns. Right. Just what's going on in our community. I had a friend who, he wasn't the intended target, but about half block away from my house was shot at the other day. I had a friend who was at Harlem Tavern, and I don't want to bring them bad publicity. The shooting wasn't there; it was around the corner.
Right.
Happened there, one evening, and then woke up and I was walking around, and people said, "Oh, you hear about the shooting?" And it wasn't that one they were talking about. They were talking about another one that also happened. So we just got to get our hands around this. And so, I've done this before. I've worked on gun trafficking. I've worked on gun, cases, armed robbery. We got a plan. We want to follow the flow of the guns, really stop the flow from coming in. We want to work with our groups like, Street Corner Resources.
Yeah.
We want to obviously work with the police and do our prosecutions of folks, particularly who are, the ones I talk about, those shootings. So I'm an all the above kind of guy, right? Like, let's use all the tools in the toolkit, from prevention, restorative justice involved intervention, to prosecution where appropriate. Because, the first civil right is the right to walk freely, safely in your neighborhood. We got to do that.
Absolutely. I will be full transparent right now. If there's anything I can do when you're in office to help make this community a better place, this world, because just like you and Al, I get the statistics. There was just a shooting Sunday on 140 something. I think Al, right across the street from the church, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, 116th Street, and it's Queens. So it's not just Manhattan, it's all the 5 boroughs, and it's not just New York, it's all around the world. So yeah, guns have just definitely skyrocketed, gangs. I have something too that I'll propose to you right now. Maybe when you and as a friend, I can call him Eric, but I'm going to say the future mayor, as I'll address you as the future DA, Mr. DA, that we might have to start doing something and get parents more, hold parents more accountable in lieu of, if you don't want law enforcement to search your kids, maybe you need to start searching your kids. You know what I'm saying? Something in that kind of slogan where parents go into your kids' rooms, look around in their boxes, not so much, if they're still living in your dwelling, maybe you can go into their rooms and look in their drawers and stuff like that. I think and correct me if you're wrong, gentlemen, parents know, not all the time, and I don't want to put that all on parents, that they know all the time that their kids are doing good and bad. But I think if you know your kid is not working and he's not going to school and he's hanging out on the corner or hanging out, there's a likelihood that he may be hanging with some shady characters. So I think there's a time to kind of maybe just do more parental guidance and check up on your parents, because the bottom line is, I think the three of us all know there's a way you can get caught into this system and never turn back. And we don't want to lose any child of color to the system, because that's when they're going to make, Alvin do his job. They're going to make people like me in my past do their jobs, because, I tell people all the time, law enforcement was a beautiful job. In uniform was kind of like the easiest job for me, because it was more like a social setting. I could come and kind of, talk to the community and find out what the problems is, unless it was a must arrest. It was until I got into a specialized unit where it became work, because then I had to, chase guns and drugs and stuff like that. That was the main census of what I did. But, patrol is a problem solving situation. With that being said, like you said, you have so much ahead of you. I'm sure. How did you feel that your election went? Like, was it? I know, like the lady tried to come at you a little differently with the thing, but you want to discuss that a little bit.
Sure. So first, I'll say, I'll say the mayor to be Eric Adams. I think he put it really well when we were jointly at the National Action Network with Reverend Sharpton. He said, look, if I do my job as mayor, and he listed, education and mental health and things he wanted to do. He said, look, the DA's job is going to be boring. And I joined him in that, right? In saying, like, I view the DA's job broadly, like, let's put me out of business, right? And redefine the job as one that is really about crime prevention, public health, and enriching our community. So with that broad lens, being a part of that problem solving kind of institutionally. So I really look forward to that, because I think that's when we think about the job, whether it's the mayor, the DA, we're trying to make it so that people's lives are improved. No one's life is improved by going to jail. Obviously, no one's life is improved by being shot at. And so balancing that and figuring it out together. And I think I view being DA as kind of being on the board of trustees for the city. We got all these other positions, working together and thinking about our core competencies and our strengths. The one thing I would add, Detective, to the list is, I think our churches, in addition to sort of our parents, and you mentioned me being a Sunday school teacher or Assemblyman did, something over the years, I used to teach on a Sunday and kind of go home. And I think technology has helped me out, and I've just kind of gotten, grown into the role. I'm texting my students, I'm being in touch. And I think so our church families, asking questions, this goes back to, when we were kids, right? Like everyone can ask you a question, everyone on my block, every single person on my block who was over 25 could ask you a question and you were going to answer it. And so I think creating these structures where, only the parent can go look under the mattress in the house, but like, hey, where you going? What you up to? What you doing? Come do this. Let's go do this together. Someone mentioned interns in his office. Things that we can deploy people to do. But the campaign, look, I enjoyed it. First time ever doing it. I learned from people like the Assembly member. It's really being out talking to people, not assuming. You bring certain things to the table, but really listening and not assuming and hearing from people, and really hearing the message very loud and clear from our neighborhood. They're like, hey, look, we want both safety and fairness, and we can have both. And that was really the part that was affirming. Yeah, the other candidates, and there was incoming coming at me, and that wasn't great. I had to learn to develop thick skin. But the part that was beautiful was being out, talking to voters, listening to hear what they want, realizing that it kind of matched what I wanted to deliver. So it was really, really like kind of seeing democracy at work,
Right. And what's so funny, I think we have just, if I can keep it real Afrocentric, we were born with thick skin. We had to learn from a child that, people are going to take, and I'll use the word loosely, shots at us just because, or try to do the okie doke, as they say when we were younger. With that being said, as a person of color, to me, like I said, knowing you personally, I think that's going to be an advantage for you to do your job even to a higher level than not anybody else. Not to knock anybody that's had that position, but just I think that you being a Harlemite, a person of color, still grounded in Harlem, just like the Assemblyman, like Al is too. I think it brings such a more rooted skill set. Do you agree with that?
I do, and I like the way the Assemblyman put it up front. He said, first Black district attorney in Manhattan, and someone who's qualified for the job who happens to be Black. And so I tell folks all the time is I'm proud of it. When I learned the news, I was with Ken Thompson's wife, LuShawn, and that was very meaningful to me. Standing on his shoulders, his legacy. But at the end of the day, I think the things that are sort of really grabbed me the most is this will be the first time in 75 years we'll have a DA who isn't the son of a cabinet secretary. And that's not to knock that. That's we need people who serve. I'm happy they serve as cabinet secretaries, but it'll be the first time I think we will have someone as DA in Manhattan who has had a relative live with him after they got home from incarceration and heard firsthand from, that person while in custody, receiving letters, getting to collect calls. The first time we've had someone who's been shot at, the first time we had someone who's been stopped by the police at gunpoint. And I think all of that, that is that's the unfortunate reality for many of us. And so I mention that not just because they're my experiences, because they're our experiences.
Yes.
And so I think I do take that into office, and that does color everything I see. I think it does keep me grounded. I'm just always going to be different and be real. Raising two Black kids still in Harlem, and many things, different, but many things the same. It can't help but be grounded,
Yes, absolutely.
Base.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Force, with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor, and with the special surprise, the district attorney, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and we are so happy to have him with us today. So if you have questions for this district attorney or the Assemblyman, please ask them. Don't inbox me later on talking about, well, could you go? I'm not going to text him. He got things to do. He got jobs. He got to prepare for something. My text to him would be something more than just asking you what you want to ask. I'll ask him something for me. So anything, what would be the first things that you would want the community or the borough of New York, of Manhattan, to do going forward? Public safety is big. We know, but like you said, I'm sure you and Eric will be working closely together. But what do you want the borough of Manhattan to do? I mean, there was a question that came into, as you answer, I'm gonna try to look at it. It was inboxed to me just right now. I'm hoping Maggie will come on because she asked me about something. I don't know exactly the verbiage, so I have to look at the inbox as I look at the screen. But what would you want the city of Manhattan to know Alvin Bragg is going to do right away? What do you want the city to do? See something, say something, reports, What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah. So first thing I would say, and I think the first big juncture for us really predates when I'll be in office, which is September, which is we need our city works when people are out and about. So obviously all this is all subject to Delta, but if the public health officials say we're back, we need to do things. Whether it's I know Assemblyman has done the sort of walks where we're taking back neighborhoods. If we got to all get on the train at the same time and we need the density. We need people back out. I look at our restaurants. I look at our other service industries. They need the people flow, and of course, a big piece of that is the safety. And so I think they go hand in hand. It's kind of chicken and egg, right? If people don't feel safe, they won't go out. But if people don't go out, it's hard to be safe. We're built around density. So that's the first thing I say is kind of come out. I was out at Marcus Garvey. For the classical, Theater Harlem for their show. It was phenomenal. Seeing a free show is now over, but everyone out. And that's so I think we need to be out in community, out on the streets. I mean, I think one of the reasons we'll look at the data, but one of the reasons some of these incidents are up is because we kind of pull back and haven't been out as community. So I think that's one, and partner with us, right? Partner with us. We're going to have a robust community outreach. So whether it's your Harlem Little League, or whether it's your faith group, whether it's the child care center, whatever it may be, partner with us, and yeah, like you said, let us know what's on your mind, and we're going to govern that way. And then also, look, you mentioned the social service part, right? Like a big part of my vision is I'm trying to coordinate with other parts of government to address things that are social service issues. Kids who are out when they should be in school. I mean, these are many things we're not going to lock people up for, but we want to help with community-oriented solutions, and that means partnering with community. So I'd say that's big out the gate. We got the guns, and like I said, all above approach, but just changing the orientation of seeing us as a partner in all of this. You talked about the problem solving you did on the beat. Like, let us be part of that problem solving process to address some of these things, particularly with our youth in a carceral way.
Yeah. And I think the commissioner who I've worked with too, he was my supervisor. I know a lot of people are blaming this on, Al and I, we talked about these laws and stuff like that. I personally feel, even if I agree or disagree with the laws, I think that officers still have to do their job. Officers right now are working in the past. They're not working in the present. They're not trying to solve the crime. Right now, they're taking a personal stance. And I know this personally. They're taking a personal stance to, against the mayor that's in office now. And they don't like the way the city, as they'll deem it, liberal in that aspect. And it is what it is. People want to call names and stuff like that. They won't even call it insurrection on January 6th. So we know how certain people can not say something and own up to things. With that being said, I personally feel that officers still have to be proactive. They are not proactive anymore. I don't know. I'm sure that's something that you will have to talk to the mayor about to make sure that the officers and whomever if it's still Dermot McShay or the new police commissioner, whomever that may be, will be on that. With that being said, I just want to ask you, this was sent to me, and I don't know if any of you have heard of this. It's called discovery laws. I don't know if you have heard this. And then it says effective January 1st, 2020, the New York State is replacing its discovery law, the blindfold law, with a new statute requiring the sharing of evidence by default between the prosecution and defense of an accelerated timeline. On April 1st, 2019, New York State passed sweeping criminal justice reform legislation, including discovery reform, requiring prosecutors to disclose their evidence to defense early in cases proceedings. Defense reform may also result in fewer prison or jail sentences and ultimately fair, more just outcomes. That was the thing. I've never heard of that before. I don't know if any of you've heard of that. Have you, Alvin?
Yeah, so I'm familiar with it. And the Assemblyman created it with the vote up in Albany. So I'll speak briefly, then turn it over to him. The law changed to give the defense greater access to information. For years in the state of New York, defense lawyers under the law were prevented from getting information until very late in the process. There are offices like Brooklyn for a long time was turning over information earlier in the process than required by law, and without any issue to safety or anything like that. It really is a fair play. It's you think about it, that's why they call it the blindfold law. Folks not knowing what they're facing in court until they get there in trial by ambush is another thing. So I think it's a good thing. We've opened it up, created more fair play. And I just talk about my own practices as a prosecutor, primarily at the federal level. I always felt like I build a good case, I turn over the evidence, and that makes the case more, it's fair, but it also is more efficient. Generally, people look at the evidence and say, okay, well, yeah, this case is strong. So I think it incentivizes the building of strong cases. I know there have been some concern from some prosecutors that it's, as they said, sort of a lot of work early on. But I know there's some technological things. We're sort of getting information from the PD earlier and things like that. And to me, it's just an issue of fair play. So and it's worked. And Brooklyn had it predating the law, and it's worked. So. But with that, I'll turn it over to the man who wrote the law. He wrote the laws.
There you go. Go ahead.
Well, listen, I did support that. I didn't write it. I can't tell you offhand who drafted that piece of legislation. But to the district attorney's point, if you're sitting here and you're going to court and you're that person of color, you'll see your defense attorney just before you walk into the courtroom. There's a lot of information that's missing. You go back and forth. And God only knows what you're dealing with inside. So while you wait for evidence, you're still locked in, which sometimes can be a punishment within itself because you're not guilty, but you're still there because you couldn't afford the bail. There are a lot of things that everybody's not going to be happy about, but this is one of the ones that I totally support it, and it made a whole lot of sense to move the process. Because if you're saying you're going to get due process, then that means I should be entitled to know what you know. If you're going to, I have to defend myself, either paying or whatever, but I'm defending myself on ghosts. What am I? Right. So I would concur with the district attorney that was something very valid. And I think on the other side of that, if they do due diligence and push it out, then if I'm looking at a mountain of evidence that I know to be true and is insurmountable, I better take this deal that's on the table that's going to be gone when I go in. So just little things like that. I just want to throw, and I know, Alvin, we're going to get you out of here, Mr. District Attorney, very shortly because the commitment was for a half an hour, and I want to honor that. So you'll come back again. I want to go to that church. That church that they said we're going to be out of here.
We're going to keep it real church, but Alvin, let me tell you before. Go ahead, Al. No, I just wanted to say, Alvin, you are always welcome to come back when you're in office. You just text Al or myself. Anytime you want to come back and converse with us, the audience, please. That way we'll promote you to give people all the time, because, during the summertime, people will come back and watch this and have all the questions that, you're not here to answer. But they'll ask us both to say, oh, well, can you ask them the next time? Now, the thing is that the beautiful thing is this was a surprise. That's why people out there, I always tell you to share it and subscribe to it, because you never know who will pop in on us and converse with us. So go ahead, Al Taylor. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. It just to piggyback on what you just said, Mr. District Attorney, if you would, where appropriate, keep us in the loop when you're launching initiatives so that we can get it out on the street. Whether it's midnight basketball, all those things that you're doing, that you use every tool in the tool belt that we're able to do, because none of us are going to do this all by ourselves. And that being said, when I look at the gun shootings that are up, let me just give you this question, if I can. In the past years, I would say in the past few months, there's been a uptick of violent crimes and gun violence in our city. How do you plan to address the influx of guns on our streets and the scourge of gun violence in our communities? And how will you approach public safety? And what is it, I'm going to add another one, what is it that we as a legislator can do, as a clergy can do? Because I get since I've been elected the last 4 years, I get this. Their fingers pointed at me. I'm like, well, what role are you willing to help me in this? This has got to be a community effort. So speak to that if you could.
Yeah. So on guns, I think the number one thing, which is a sort of a medium to long-term solution, is when I was at the Attorney General's office, we looked at every gun found at a crime scene in the state of New York. And we analyzed it. And it's kind of hard because the NRA has lobbied Congress and made it hard to kind of track the flow of guns. But we pieced it together and were able to track every gun found at a crime scene in our state and trace it back to its last lawful sale from a federally licensed firearm dealer. And, you all know about the iron pipeline, these guns coming up from down south. But Absolutely. This really illuminated things because you could see, certain licensed dealers who were selling guns in the dozens that were ending up at crime scenes, and some of that in really short order. So I'm going to focus some investigations on the following that data. I'm fortunate enough that my long-term friend was just sworn in at the Department of Justice, heading up the criminal division there, so we can have some federal-state partnerships, which is going to be helpful because this does extend beyond our borders. So I believe in really following the money, following the contraband. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a cornerstone. I think that will help. I do want to also scale up, places like and support them in the work they do, like Street Corner Resources, people who are literally running to the fire. And then you ask some what we could be doing. I think it's a really strong, these kind of taking over blocks, taking back areas, so to speak, that from as we call it, everyday folk, right? Showing, I think it shows a couple of things. One, it shows folks who are sort of torn, that the community really cares and we're gonna put their arms around them before they make a decision that they may regret. And then also it gets to sort of folks being out. We talk about kind of helps with the feeling of safety. So I think that is something, and I know some churches have organized these kind of, whether it's a prayer vigil, whether it's a march. I think getting that out and then coupling that with services and service deliveries and really youth enrichment programs. And I know you've been doing this a lot. So I think I would say to people in the community who are asking you, saying it's like, hey, well, come join us, right? You're doing this, come join us. And that this is a part of the public safety fight, right? You may not know what the detective, used to do, but this is a front end, frankly, the folk, I used to coach Harlem Little League, all those coaches, right? The people who give all their time, that provides a feeling for our community that's helpful on issues. And so I would just continue to people to invest, particularly in our youth, right? We know the sort of kind of age range where things can go off the rails. We know that particularly the gun incidents, you can look, it's a staggeringly low percentage of our population that is doing, a high percentage of these incidents. So we can really direct resources. And I would say just to everyone who wants to help, get involved. It could be around whatever they do. You like to read? Well, join the reading group, right? You like to play baseball?
Yes.
Little league coach. You like to pray? Become a Sunday school teacher. Do the prayer visit.
Yes.
For all of us,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, right before Sophronia said we need sticker gun laws, but it won't happen because the people love them so much. The people in charge, that is, and those that have made a fortune from them. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Well, so I would just one other thing that I hope we as a state are focusing on, because it's really something we fight at the federal level. I think we've got some of the strongest gun laws in the country here in New York. The issue is that they're being flouted by people bringing them in, and then they're also under assault from forces that be beyond the state. So there's a case that's in the Supreme Court right now challenging our concealed carry law, which there's some places you can my college roommate moved to Texas. He tells me that he's just pumping gas to the station in Texas, and someone's got a handgun on their hip, and that's just legal. And so this would change our concealed carry law and make it not as hard to get a permit. And to me, that's kind of horrifying. I don't know what they do in Texas at the gas station, but I don't want that on the 2 train on 135th Street, right? I just, it's just not what we need. And so I would say, the state is defending us, our attorney general is defending the law. But that to me is one to watch, because if the Supreme Court weakens that law, I think it's going to make all of this, what's already an uphill fight, it's going to make it even more harder.
Yeah, definitely.
Alvin, I just want to add, I was just in a city a couple of days ago at the airport, and you drive into the curb to pick someone up, and I pulled in, and there was another car that pulled up right next to me, and it kind of blocked me in, and the guy is kissing his girlfriend, they're talking, playing with the dog. And I'm like, I got that New York thing, I'm starting to rock back and forth in my car like, you don't see me, my man?
Yeah.
When he turned, he kind of turned to his left, to my left, and when he turned, I saw a weapon, and it wasn't concealed. And so I said to the passenger in my vehicle, he said, "Yo, they have an open carry license in this state." And I just regrouped myself, and I said, "I'll sit here till he get ready to move. Yes, I'm taking time, because me not gonna bother him." And I sat there like a kid at the back of the class trying to get some cookies and milk. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Shook me.
Yeah,
So,
it's so funny, just being a person that carries, being a person that carries, my whole life has been taught to not use your firearm, God forbid, unless you have to. That's the way I was taught, in law enforcement. That's why when I see so many police shootings in the past, I critique them, because I can. I've been in some of the worst situations as a detective and a police officer. So, but when we have these right to carry states and stuff like that, it's almost like the act right. It's like knowing when I'm not in New York sometime and I'm in PA or other places, stuff like that, you can tell, like, there's a certain calmness, because you really don't know who has, and everybody can have. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost, a real rational mind. First and foremost, if you're not looking for trouble, you're going to be a little passive anyway. But a rational mind to say, well, wait a minute. If he's escalating it verbally, he might have something, because he's selling wolf tickets already. Like you said, Al, if that man, he's kissing dogs and kissing babies and stuff, and his lady, he didn't have any regards of you trying to get out. Now, if he didn't have that gun, he might have been a little hurried. You might have said, "Yo, my man, yo." You know what I'm saying? You would have took him home.
I'd have been on that horn.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have been on that horn.
Well, Alvin, Bragg,
Alvin, I know we holding you, man.
No, it's all good, man. I love talking to y'all. I'm gonna go tend to my relative who had a procedure earlier, but I look forward to coming back on, and Assembly member, I'll be praying for your intern too. It sounds like all is on the mend, but I'll keep him in prayer as well.
Yeah,
so, Alvin, like I said, this is your show. This is your show. You're always welcome to come back. We really appreciate it. Maybe let us be the first people to interview you after you get in the office. That way Al Taylor and I can get some kudo points and stuff like that.
Love it.
Brag about, like we had Alvin Bragg, the district attorney. And if there's anything I can do, seriously, please feel free. You have my number to let me know. I know tomorrow in New York City, there's an all-out day, I think, with law enforcement. So people, please get out there and meet your precinct commanders. We know you're going to talk about crime and shooting. They know it. One man can't change the world, but we can try. We can work together. If you see something, you can say something. You can call. Let me hit y'all from a little black point. Call and get that money, that free money, that 1-800 Crime Stoppers. You know what I'm saying?
There it is. There it is. Shut them down.
Exactly.
Acting up, shut them down.
And as from the political standpoint, the law standpoint, as an expert witness when I was in the Bronx, I've always said in testimony, when we're talking about evidence and things like that, people say, well, why are you so good testifying? I said, one, to tell the truth is the easiest thing to do. It flows right off your tongue. And then especially it doesn't take to be a little ham too, a showman. Alvin Bragg, thank you so much, brother.
Cool. Thank y'all both, man. Have a great night.
Blessings to you and the family, man.
Thank you, man.
right.
You're
God
always
bless
welcome. Congratulations again, brother.
Mr.
Thank you. Well.
DA.
All right.
Cool.
Everybody, that's Alvin Bragg, the district attorney of New York, Manhattan. That was a good one. Thank you. Everybody, see, you don't know who will pop up on Real Talk Chronicles, so stop playing, share it, let them know what we're doing. How are you doing, Al? You good? We're not going to stay too long after.
Yeah,
I just want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you about the bipartisan bill, and you can give us people some brief synopsis of what you think about the infrastructure, and then we can close out on the top of the hour, brother.
Unfortunately, I didn't do a deep dive as I wanted to. I was actually traveling. I was away. But one of the things that I was encouraged by was that there's finally bipartisan buy-in on this legislation, which will propel it. So we're talking about infrastructure money. We're talking about our bridges. We're talking about NYCHA. People that are living in NYCHA complexes, they've been neglected financially for over 30 years. When people that we know today were in charge of other stuff that they're now in other roles, no one's been putting money there. So your infrastructure is shot. Your pipes are gone. You have the lead issue. You have, I'm trying to think, you have the mold issue and so forth like that. So the infrastructure is a lot. It's not just highways, but it's everyday life as we know it. And you're trying to build, but also you're bringing in revenue and opportunities for employment for folks. There, I think, what's this? Next month, ends, Bill. The unemployment is going to end for a lot of folks. So the hunt will be on for work. And we're at an interesting space right now with the Delta virus increasing. How open can we allow facilities to be? Real talk, like how open? Right now, you're sitting and you're going places, you're having fun, and that's great. But if we're going to get out of this, I don't think we can go into the winter and the fall in the same space that we're operating right now. There's got to be a reduction in order that we can curb this influx. And I smiled when you were talking about the doctor coming on, and you were talking about, go take care of your business, and you're not telling people what to do or what not to do, but do something. Either get the shot or muzzle that thing up and muzzle it up as well. And to your point, I went to get a rapid test today because I spent some times with some considerable amount of time with a family person and his family this past week. And I look, I'm like, all right. And I was like, I thought it was allergies. I thought it was sinuses. And I got a call yesterday that he tested positive. But to your point, he had taken both shots several months ago. So the shot is the shot, it doesn't make it so that you can't catch it, but it helps you so that you don't end up on the incubators that they put you on.
Yes, and respirators and things of that magnitude, and the ventilators for breathing and stuff like that. Right. So it's so funny, Al, that you said that.
So I was like, get out.
Yeah, it's so funny. And shout out to Reggie Wells is in the building. Legendary DJ Reggie Wells is in the building. I couldn't pick up the phone.
Reggie, what's up, Reggie? Yo, Reggie. Oh, my man. Let's go back to the Pocos, Reggie. It's been a long time. It's time for that reunion, my brother. My man, DJ Reggie Wells. He does it so swell.
My dude, man. Exactly. We always mess up. He calls me when I'm on his show. We play phone tag until we get each other. Oh, and then also too, R.I.P. to Bismarck, somebody that's made us all dance to his music or rhyme to it. Everybody from all ethnic backgrounds.
Snap! Guess what I saw?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And also too, Reggie will be playing this weekend Saturday. Malika and I'll be trying to hang out too, but see, that's a whole thing too, because that's the scariest thing about it. People don't want to take the vaccine, and that some are not probably wearing that mask, and people like maybe myself and my wife who've taken the vaccine. One time, it was a freedom because economy wise, the world is not going to close again. I doubt it's not going to do that. So it's open. So now, they're going back to, okay, wearing the mask in the place. Now you have people that are still thinking that this is a Democrat, they planted this and all like I mean, just there's so many people that just come up with the idiotic nonsense, the buffoonery. But the thing is, just people like you said, cover up, do something, because people are catching it. And thank God they're not dying from it, but it's because of the vaccine. Now, let me ask you a question. It seems like Republicans have come out lately and talked about, take the vaccine. Florida's off the charts in Texas. I wouldn't go there. If you would have to pull me there right now. Like their numbers
free
are almost
ticket.
50%.
No free ticket.
You couldn't give me a ticket to go to Florida right now, And with that being said, people have to, understand that if you didn't have the vaccine, you would die. That's the whole thing. Like the vaccine, I know personally, we'll definitely be talking to the doctor about this. I'm not trying to hear anything about a booster. I was talking to a lady in the store today, and she said to me, she says, I'm so worried. I don't know what to do with my kids. I don't know what to tell her what to do with the kids. This topic is just, it's taken over the world. And I mean, people, I really feel worried about people like yourself, because you're out there in the public, you and Albert Bragg, you two and the mayor, you all three will be out there. Like I said, I can kind of nip and tuck and still keep somebody's ass on Zoom. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? I can say, call me. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, me having speaking engagements and talking to youth, it's not opening up like that. So I can do this via a Zoom or StreamYard or things like that. Other things, people like yourselves are still having to be out there, and people right now are so happy to be partying and working and doing whatever they got to do. Well, everybody said, let's see what they said. Stephanie said, I saw on the news, even Equinox, the gym, requiring all members and employees to be vaccinated.
Yep.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about that? I think you can't make anybody. Can you? Is that legal that you can't make somebody?
Right. I don't think that it is totally here. Here's where we're at. There's legislation that we have in Albany that's pending that people want to push. And there are people, I think I pick up about 200 emails a day. So there are people that, and not just on this subject, but there are those that are the anti-vaxxers. They don't want it, right? They don't believe that they should be mandated to do it. Columbia Presbyterian Hospital has said that they're going to make it mandatory that every employee of theirs must take it or they'll lose their job. The governor said earlier today that everyone that works for MTA or something like that, they should take it. If they don't, then they have to submit to testing once a week, right? So I think I'm more comfortable with, don't make me do it. But since you can't make me do it, I must submit to testing. So I think it gives you what you want. If you're in a place, you should be tested, so people around you are safe. It's interesting. It's just a matter of, I want to say in 2019 there was a bill. Was it 2019? There was a bill, and it required everyone to be vaccinated. Typical stuff that we would do going to elementary school in order to go to school. There was a lot of pushback from a certain people group, and they didn't want it. The bill passed, but previously the law says that if you had a medical or religious reason why you can't take this shot, then that was your waiver for not taking the vaccination. The vaccine. But now that's off the table. That you must take. We legislated that in 2019. I did not support that piece of legislation. I actually voted against it. But I understand where people are at. My rights over public safety rights, who wins? which one wins. So do I mandate something for the greater good of mankind? Or do I just let people make their own decisions? And I think where we're at right now, Bill, is people have been making their own decisions because we're using an honor system. You know what? You don't need to get vaccinated, or you don't have to show a card. You don't have to show proof. Just everybody come in together. And to your point, what do you call it? Buffoonery?
Yeah.
Do the right thing. Cover yourself up. If you're not going to get the shot, cover it up. You know,
That's
or
it.
you know what? If you're really smart, you cover up because they're not doing their part. So no one can be able to blame anyone. Just cover up yourself and take care of you. I think we can get a lot further that way.
Yeah, I know. You know, Malika and I we were talking about this, having our little Forster meetings, and we were saying that, you know, listen, when we start saying you got to have a little Forster meeting, when we sitting here and we're talking about, okay, well, on the tap, where we go on a vacation? What are we doing this week coming up? Oh, and on top of that, are we wearing masks? Because now we're seeing more people getting caught, you know, catching it. Like you see in the athletes, like half the Yankees after the All-Star break or were vaccinated, and they still caught COVID. So then you know you have to be quarantined for a while,
exactly.
and it's just a sad thing. I see you, Gina, in the building, old narcotics ranger. Let's see, Stefania said I saw. She said I saw on the news even. Oh yeah, Equinox in the gym. They asked about that. She said, but why must we must keep in mind a lot of people have fake vaccination cards too. So yeah, there's something. I think there's something with New York State. You could be registered. You know, I mean, you know, people can always make money selling something fake. Shout out to Eunice Collins in the building.
There's a bill for that right now that hasn't been passed.
Thank you.
There's one that says that they want to do that.
Eunice Collins is in the building. How are you? She said until the unvaccinated start dying, it will be an uphill battle. And you know what's so funny? That seems like it's starting to come now. The whole gist of the verbiage now is like blame the unvaccinated for people catching the COVID right now. You know, it's like the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. You know, next thing you know, you see people. It won't be Karens. You won't be fighting over Karens. It'll be vaccinated versus unvaccinated in the supermarket. Sylvia said, hey, Bill, my dad had COVID. He had the vaccine. Wow. See, that's what I'm trying to say. My daughter had it a bit. She didn't have the vaccine. So like you know, shout out to Sylvia. You got her father that was vaccinated and caught the virus. I mean, COVID, and then her daughter caught it and she didn't have it. They are all doing all right now today too. Exactly. And your son had it. When Jason had it, he wasn't vaccinated at that time, right, Sylvia? Let me know about that. So, you know, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. This is the first Monday of the month with Assemblyman Al Taylor. Real Talk with Assemblyman Al Taylor. I see you, Ruben Toro, in the building. Shout out to the DJ, Ruben Toro. Also, we just finished having on the first Black African-American Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. So you don't know who's going to pop on Real Talk Chronicles. And I would have loved to promote it, but we didn't know if he was going to get him. And thank God he popped in on us. Right, Al? Appreciate Al Taylor for bringing him. He said he will come back, especially anytime. He's always welcome. You never know who will have him. And that's the beautiful thing about what Al and all my co-hosts can do. They can bring anybody on anytime they want to. See, that's the beautiful thing. On their shows, they can bring anybody they want to, who they want to. That's what we do. We have real talk. We talk about real issues. We're not talking about nobody twerking and all that nonsense. Listen, we're talking about real stuff here. Delsina said on the news, unvaccinated are dying and wish they had the vaccine. It's a sad because the people are young. Oh, yeah, I think there was a case I saw absolutely about a person wish her fiance taken it, but he died because he didn't take it. I asked all of you, Al, I'm gonna send it to you after we get off. I don't know if I sent it to you. D.L. Hughley broke down, had a little segment, and he broke down how we all have been vaccinated from polio, right? I think is it polio when we went to school, we all had to get vaccinated. So we've been vaccinated. For people who say, oh, they don't want anything in their body. Listen, you'll go to the doctor will give you some medicine. All due respect to holistic medicine, but sometime that Western civilization medicine, you're gonna have to take that. You're gonna have to pop that pill because until you can get to grandma's brew, her special brew or whatever it is, you know, yeah. And if grandma is deceased, you end up trying to put hot sauce in the shit where it should have been apple cider vinegar, and you your ass be on fire somewhere. Exactly. You know, you think you sneeze and everything be tore up. Gina said, I travel with a All right. Gina said, I travel with a 357 and a mask always. Well, I hear that. I know you bad with that. Got the first shot and was sick as a dog the day after. If COVID is worse than how I felt, then God help us all. Well, let me tell you something. I got vaccinated, and the second shot had me twisted. You know, I was done. But you know, I felt that there was a light at that tunnel. Now, full transparency, I took the flu shot one time and I thought I was going to see Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't doing that. And I'll never do it again. But you know what's so funny? I know that I have to take extra precautions during the flu shot, you know, during flu season. But that's like the doctor said the last time she was on the show with us, she said flu has been down. You know, there hasn't really been any statements about flu. So, you know, this is Real Talk with Assemblyman Al Taylor. I'm your host, Bill Forster. This is Real Talk. This is what we do. I've got a few more comments and questions, and Al, then we can do what we do. We can say good night. Hold on. Like you said, Eunice, chicken noodle soup. Exactly. And nobody can make chicken noodle soup, you know, like a parent, you know. So that's what it is. You messing around and get something that you think it's chicken noodle soup, and it'll be, you know, green pea soup or some nonsense. I don't know. Sylvia said, these people are crazy down here. I know a woman who had COVID and she still doesn't want to take the vaccine. Well, hey, I don't know what to tell her. Well, you know what? I hate to say, I hope you don't have to go to that grave site one day, you know, because people out here, it's like stuck on stupid, Al. It really is. It's a shame. Stefani said, speaking of twerking.
No question.
She said, speaking of twerking, she said, did you guys see the video of the black woman dancing on the table at the restaurant? If so, what are your thoughts? No, I didn't see that. You're going to have to send me that because you, Steph, Malika said she saw it. Did she do it?
I didn't see it.
Oh, she said she just saw pictures of it. She said it kicked her butt. I'm sure it did. Everybody out. Before we get out of here, let me ask you a question. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Please share it. Let people know the first half you missed. The Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg was on. He's coming back. This is Assemblyman Al Taylor, the first of the month. Next week, we have Dr. Marilyn Corder. That's Real Talk every second Monday of the month with Dr. Marilyn Corder. The third, we have Real Talk with Allison Williams, the First Lady of Def Jam. And the fourth Monday of the month, we have Spiritual Talk with Pastor Kevin Graves. And every Wednesday, I have Chuck Richards and Kevin Branzetti here, and we're talking about issues pertaining to law enforcement and people of color and stuff like that. Stefani said, hey, Malika. Hey. I wanted to ask you, with Eric going into office, we're going to do everything in our powers to pray he gets into office. I sent you something today, too, about somebody out of I think a socialist or something. I forgot. You'll look at it when you get your chance.
I did. I did see that.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
So I think we should have a conversation, and people need to understand. And I'm not telling you what set of politics you want to follow, but it's equivalent to the Republican Tea Party. There was this group that wanted to be a little bit more progressive, and they didn't think that the Republican Party was doing it enough. I forgot the lady's name. She's from Alaska. Then they ran her as the vice president because she said she could see whatever, something crazy from her back window. All them crazy kids, they got a story, a reality show. But this socialist DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, or something like that, they're moving, which they claim that they're progressive. I think a lot. If we're not careful, they're moving us closer to Republican peace than anything else. But here's the thing. They've got money, lots of money, and most of the people that are funding them don't look like you or I. And their issues are not ours. This is me. They have a ton of money. There was just an article actually that came out about 4 or 5 days ago. It's the DSA magazine, and they said in that magazine they're coming for the following people. So in Harlem, they mentioned East Harlem, Robert Rodriguez.
Okay.
And Central Harlem, they mentioned Inez Dickens. And here, Harlem and Washington Heights, they mentioned me. So they're going out to try to see who they can take off because they don't like our politics, period. And that's the move. And what they do, they have a lot of money. They're knocking on the doors and like, hey, you know, I want to say this. I don't want to be disrespectful, so I got to think of how to put it in. It's kind of like if you like brand A, because that's what you grew up on. There's a generation that says brand A is no longer good. It's bad for you. And why do you use that? And you only use it because so then comes brand B. But brand B has no substance. You said something when you were talking earlier. You said it may not be chicken soup, but it may be some split green pea or something. Or you have the right. You have the right portion, but you don't know what goes where. And you
exactly.
So they're pushing a narrative, and I'm trying to do it in an overview, and it's not a good explanation to your viewers and those that are listening.
No.
But I will say,
everybody knows that you're trying to be politically correct. You're nice because you have a position, and that's a beautiful thing. Why people always say, "Bill, run for some kind of office." I said no because I can't say what I want to say. See, you have to be politically correct because you have a position. And I understand that. So we all understand that, Al. So I think we all can read between what lines you are definitely trying to say. Definitely. So let me just cover that for you.
Get educated. I appreciate it. Listen, get to know whoever it is that you're voting for, why you're voting for them, what has their track record been. And I'm gonna do something I've never done on this one before. If you want to get involved in civic engagement, you're retired, you're doing a couple of things, you want to understand boots on the, not that you don't understand, but you want to put some boots on the ground, come on and join me. You can either volunteer in my office, you could be a part of the campaign, because I'm going down swinging. Swinging. You ain't getting no free lunch money here. What you got? Right, what you got?
And mama ain't raised no punk, right? Mama ain't raised no punk at all.
Shoot. And I'm taking the first swing too. What? Shoot.
Exactly.
Some people came up to me and they said, well, they said something to me like, they were kind of do like that, like I was told the French, in the political world, like we want this and we want it if you give that, and if you give us that, then we're gonna back up off you. I was like, that's what I said. But it wasn't the gangster, but I immediately took it to the cafeteria. I said, listen, I ain't never lost my lunch money in school, and I'm not gonna give it up now. So if y'all want something, come get it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that off air one day.
Absolutely. They're trying to hit you with the passive aggressive. And everybody, we got them riled up now. We're going to bring them down. What do you think Eric has to do his first 100 days in office, just in New York, and then we can just close out, just go ahead.
Be Eric. Be Eric. Be himself. Be all of those things that brought him to that spot. All of those things. Don't get caught off with these other folks that want to give him a different narrative. He was voted in because of what he's done, and people want answers, and I think he has the answers. Just go do what he knows how to do. And he and I've had some conversations.
Okay,
it was funny.
Good.
I bumped into him somewhere. I was like, yo, come on, give me this picture. And he looked at his boy. He was like, yo, should I give him one? And he did what you did. They was backing up. And his boy was like, yeah, he redeemed himself. Give him one. So I got to show you that picture. He was cracking up. But you know what? And I said something to him. He was like, but you know what? You're consistent. You're solid. So, I look forward to working with Eric Adams. Listen, folks, do not believe for a moment that it's a shoo-in. Do not believe for a moment that Eric is already going to be the mayor. and he does not need your vote. He needs your vote. He needs your dollars. He needs your volunteers. And if you're able to volunteer, and if you believe that he's the guy, then go do it. Don't say, oh, it's already over. Let me remind you of something. When David Dinkins lost to Giuliani, I forgot the year. If you remember, or if you go look at it, everybody
was
on
93
that
or
Democratic
94.
slate,
93 or 94, yeah.
right? Everybody on that Democratic ticket underneath Mayor Dave Dinkins won by 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. They knew who the winner was. It was almost midnight before David lost, Mayor Dinkins lost. And Giuliani never came with more votes. He never came with more votes. But a lot of Democrats didn't vote, and the others joined and voted on the Republican line. That's how he lost. That's how he lost. Giuliani never was able to get more votes. The first time he ran at the mayor and lost, his numbers never got that high again. We left him out there to dry. So if we want Eric Adams to be the mayor, don't talk about it, be about it. Call somebody and say, listen, send in $5, send in $2. I just want to make a plug for this mayor, that if he's going to be our mayor, then we have to stand there and support him with our sweat equity and anything that we do. Make phone calls, and I'll tell you why it's important. If you look at the stimulus money, if you look at the fact that President Biden was able to get some stuff done because the Senate, they won the Senate. The only reason they won the Senate because people around the US of A came together and supported those two candidates for the Senate seat. If they had not won, then he would not be able to do half the things he's doing. So we got to come out of our comfort zones and call your people around the country, down south, Mama, Aunt Mary, everybody, tell them, let's support our mayor.
Yeah,
that's real talk.
If you live in a farm
Bill
and you're still registered in New York at somewhere, you know, come back and vote. Please do that. Listen, if you're gonna do anything, be slick. Come back and do that vote. You know what I'm saying? Because the bottom line is,
Bill, I'm sorry to cut you. They want a reason to go to a Curtis Lever. Curtis Lever has never done anything for anybody except for him and his wife and all that he's able to get. And you know, and he wasn't anybody's darling because he was always getting in the way of 5-0. The neighborhoods he went in, they didn't want. The people that died around him were people of color that was following his nonsense that got killed out there. So I remember when he first showed up with Lisa, now she's on Fox 5, he's on this. So I'm like, everybody make money. He's not the real deal at all. He's somebody's mouthpiece.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, he get punched in. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying.
No. But I mean, I think he
all right, Bill.
I think he caught some hands in the street too. Anyway, so he should have learned his lesson.
Oh yeah. He get a 2-piece without the biscuit.
Yeah. Somebody gave him some 2 pieces. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. And this is Real Talk with Assemblyman Al Taylor. Please, we just had thank you again for having Assemblyman Al, District Attorney Alvin Bragg, the first Black District Attorney. Listen, what more can we give you? We can give you us. We brought the District Attorney on the show. Go back and watch it. Please tell your friends, share it. We're out of here. Al, anything you want to say before we get out of here, brother? He's looking at the anything you want to say before we get out of here? You looking at the network? Anybody asking questions?
No. What I would say is the next time we're on, or on Wednesday, if it's the same following folks, tell us what you've done since you've last heard this conversation. You are engaged how politically? You're doing what differently? Because this is not about informing and we're just going back and forth. We're going to get fat. The idea is, and I'm not saying that you're not active and motivated, but tell us something that you're doing that has been a direct result of what you're hearing on Real Talk. You're inspired, you're encouraged to go do something. Not that, oh man, I was going to tell somebody, but what are you doing? And report back to Bill, hey, you know what? I felt a little guilty, so I'm doing this. Or, yo, I never told you I was doing this. But we want to wake up all the sleeping folks. That's how Obama was able to win. And I'm just saying, we are sleeping at the wheel. And the one good thing that we can say about Trump is he woke us up, because a lot of us were walking sleep.
Yes,
he opened some eyes. Like, oh, you thought you didn't arrive? Yeah. Okay. Bill, stop
Yeah.
asking me questions, man, because I'm getting amped, man. I'm like, you
He
leave
get-
me low,
get
man. I
tight.
gotta go home, man.
As
I'm
they
ready
said,
home.
tell him why you're mad. Tell him why you're mad. Please tell the wife I said hello.
Man, take
Listen,
it,
everybody,
Yes.
next week, listen, of course, always chime in with Kevin and Chuck and I. But next week, we have the doctor in. If you got your questions, I'm telling you now, have them ready, because the doctor don't stay long. She's a doctor. She do it. And thank you for Al. And to be honest with you, Al, he's an assemblyman. So, of course, his time is so precious, and I appreciate that he's given it and dedicated it once a month to Real Talk, and sometimes he'll chime in whenever he can. You know, Dr. Corder, she runs a hospital, and she's on other on the boards and things of that magnitude. And Pastor Graves, you know, he's still out here trying to help and spread the word, and he's a clergy for NYPD. So everybody out here is still doing their due diligence in this community of the world. You know, we're trying to bring some information, and Malika's back there. She's doing her work, and I'm out here working too. So everybody, we getting out of here. Everybody, please talk to you soon. Any questions, comments, reach at us. Talk to you later.
Hey, man,
you
bless you, Brother Bill. Thank you so much. Y'all make some noise for Brother Bill, because if he wasn't doing it with Real Talk, Malika, God bless you and enjoy.
Al, tell Gwen we
care,
said
man.
hi. We got to get together soon, brother. Appreciate y'all. Talk to you later, everybody.
Man. Blessings to you all. Thank you.
All right.